Leighann Lenti, Deputy Secretary of the New Mexico Public Education Department, says passing a test in order to show competency is part of New Mexico state law.
So state law since 2008 has mandated both chorus and competency requirements for graduation. And competency requirements are for 5 content areas, not just for PARCC tests. PARCC is just used to meet the competency requirements initially in 2 of the 5 content areas. So this is something that's been in state law since 2008.
Lenti says if students do not pass the PARCC test, they can apply for an Alternate Demonstration of Competency, or ADC, to show that they are at grade level. But students must attempt the PARCC test twice before moving to the ADC.
Under our previous standardized test, the SBA, students had 3 chances to demonstrate competency to show that they had met grad requirements in math and reading. So they could take the assessment in grades 10 and 11, and then they had a makeup opportunity in grade 12 if they still hadn't shown that they were on grade level. And with PARCC, we are asking students to attempt the 11th grade assessment and then have the opportunity for a 12th grade retest if they need it before they move on to that ADC.
However, Tim Hand, Director of Assessment Analysis and Research for Las Cruces Public Schools, says information they received from the New Mexico Public Education Department says the test must be attempted 3 times before qualifying for the ADC.
Las Cruces Public Schools says we follow PED guidance. We basically administer the exams using the guidance from the Public Education Department. Here's what our guidance has been, is that students must attempt the test, and depending on the subject level, for both English and mathematics, they must attempt the test 3 times. And if they haven't passed it within those 3 times, then the district can jump into our alternate demonstration of competency.
Hand says the district fills out a waiver for the state if a student wants to use the ADC, and part of the waiver asks if a student has completed the PARCC test 3 times. It is then left up to the district to determine how the alternate demonstration of competency is measured.
We gathered a team of teachers and principals and administrators, and we came up with a rubric of sorts that takes into account, one of the big things it takes into account is how close were they to the cut score? Are we talking just a few points? Were they way off? We take into account final exam scores for the subject matter. We look at ACT scores, college and career readiness indicators, and it actually goes down to the granular amount so that we can actually gather up a portfolio of student work to take a look and see if, and have a team at the school take a look and see if the students can demonstrate competence in other ways than just a standardized assessment.
Lenti says students have to attempt the PARCC test more than once because it is a better way to show a student is ready to graduate.
It's the most accurate and objective way to measure if our students have mastered the high school content, regardless of what school or district the student comes from. And alternate demonstrations of competency, or ADCs, may actually be more of a patchwork look at a student's competency, but there is the risk that the results won't be as accurate or comprehensive as something like the PARCC assessment.
Del Hansen, a part-time teacher in Las Cruces, disagrees and says PARCC tests do not offer a comprehensive view of a student's abilities.
The best way to evaluate a student is to allow the professional that's teaching them on a day-to-day basis test them if the district wants to come up with a test that is created by teachers within that district, and to provide the parents with instantaneous feedback within days of taking the test. That's the way you do it. You don't take a $40 or $50 million test and send it off to be graded and get the results months and months and months later when the students aren't even with that teacher anymore.
Lenti says passing the test, along with other graduation requirements, demonstrate a student is ready to move on to college or a career.
On an annual basis, New Mexico as a state is spending over $20 million on remedial courses. 49% of our students are going to post-secondary institutes, whether they be 2 or 4-year colleges, having graduated from high school and being told they're ready, and then they're getting there and they're actually having to take remedial courses before they can even start getting credit towards a degree. So I think that these graduation requirements are a really important step in better preparing our students for success.
Hansen says he doesn't think the test will show whether or not a student is ready to enter college.
The PARCC test will have absolutely nothing to do with the number of students that are graduating that are going to be college ready. What the PARCC test does is evaluate teachers based upon Common Core, which has not been implemented in most of the grades in the schools. It's testing over material that has not been taught.
If a student is ready to finish high school and hasn't completed their PARCC testing requirements, they may receive something other than a diploma. When the competency requirement for graduation was added to state law, New Mexico added a provision that said if a student was ready to exit high school and had not completed all of the graduation requirements, a certificate of completion would be issued instead of a diploma of excellence. Leighann Lenti, Deputy Secretary of New Mexico's Public Education Department, says a certificate of completion could be issued if a student is short of any graduation requirements, not just if they are missing their testing requirements.
State law actually says that, or actually requires that districts provide students with a certificate outlining what graduation requirements they've already met and what's remaining if they haven't fully graduated with a diploma.
Many colleges will accept the certificate of completion as a prerequisite for admission, but that is determined by the institution. Both New Mexico State University and the University of New Mexico will accept it for admittance. However, according to NMSU's Financial Aid Office, students are not eligible for federal financial aid unless they have received a high school diploma. Tim Hand, Director of Assessment Analysis and Research for Las Cruces Public Schools, says they have been working with students and parents to make sure they are aware of all the implications.
What we've advised parents and what we've advised students is that this really does differ from institution to institution, but we have been talking closely with NMSU and DACC, and our understanding is, yes, you can apply. Yes, the federal funding is up in the air if you don't have the Diploma of Excellence.
Although students would not have access to federal financial aid, they would still be eligible to receive a New Mexico Lottery scholarship. Lenti says that as part of the law, the certificate of completion will state which graduation requirements a student was missing in order to receive a Diploma of Excellence.
New Mexico statute says that I can't get a diploma because I haven't met the requirements laid out in law, but my district shall give me a certificate of completion showing what I've already accomplished and what's still left. So I have that opportunity to maybe do a credit recovery program so I can get my diploma in the next year, things of that nature.
Lenti says students shouldn't worry if they are unable to pass the PARCC test, because they can complete their graduation requirements through the Alternate Demonstration of Competency.
Even if you're not proficient on PARCC after your first and second attempt, you do then have those ADC opportunities to show you're on grade level so you can get that diploma.
The ADC requirements are determined by each individual school district, so students should check to make sure they have completed all obligations. For KRWG, I'm Samantha Sonner.